Hey, brother Wes, look at you. Look at you.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm just living the dream, man. Been
Living
one
the
of those
dream.
days of it's been one of those hybrid days that I love. Working. A lot of calls, customer calls, follow up, circle backs, whatever word you want to use. Wrote some big orders today, which I always love, and wrote a couple articles for a couple magazines, and now, besides hanging with you, which is always a highlight, the much less of you, which you look good, by the way. I mean,
Thank you.
I need cataract surgery, but still, you look pretty good. but we're doing one of the things we love more than anything is having our incredible friend, the legend himself, Ben Gay, back for like the seventh time, and it never gets old for me to say this, but you'd think the guy's wrote more books than anybody in the history of the sales world. He's been on more stages, and it's like he still can't. We keep having him back because he can't get it right. I mean, what is that?
One of these days we hope you never will. So that
Yeah, exactly.
having him on.
But anyways, you and I could and do talk forever. Let's bring Ben on, man. He's been sitting in the green room, and we didn't replenish the grapes or anything, so there we are.
All right. I'll bring him right on.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay.
As it should be. Does it get any better?
It does not.
Yeah. Ben's going, let me think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
or he's convenient. See, now we know the secret, Ben. If you play like your mic isn't working, we know that's fake now because we know you got it. So don't try that game with us. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, right. Come on now.
Good time.
That's awesome.
Pleasure to be back with you guys, especially you, Wes. It's a pleasure to be anywhere with you. Welcome back to the living.
Well, I got to tell you, it's good to be back, and I'm going to say it again. Les Brown's, it's better to be seen than viewed.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Saw a thing on the internet the other day. It was a tombstone. And, like Johnny Carson always said, his would say, I told you I was sick, or I'll be right back. This one was a golfer in full swing, carved on the top. And the caption on his tombstone is, finally, 6 under.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is one of the best.
That's great. I really like that one because I've said many. I don't really golf, Ben, and actually, I got a letter once certified from the USGA saying if you ever, refer to yourself as a golfer, we will sue you because I just say I want to suck. And I remember one time I was golfing this. You go do what you do, and in association outings that I'm involved with, as you know, quite a bit. You got some of those you just got to go do, right? I'm riding with this customer, became a customer friend at the time. He was worked for one of my customers, didn't really know him, and he's good. We're like 17th hole, and we get out, and he goes, "So I play this course a lot." He says, "So up on the left is that oak tree?" Yeah. He had that little knoll there. He said, if you play just to the right of the oak tree, you'll come in perfectly into the green. I said, Chris, who the hell have you been playing with for 17 holes? I mean, I'm lucky I hit the ball.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'm lucky I find the ball. Number 3, that's why I buy 47 of those cheap ones for like 50 cents out of the jug, because I'm not digging in the crap for the ball. I just throw another one down somewhere. So, but that was quite humorous. He got quite a chuckle. I said, yeah, you're right. That's just getting to the suck phrase again, or phase would be an improvement for me. But
you get those instructions. Just hit a fade around that pine tree.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and hit the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Just hitting the ball. Exactly.
What happens after that is none of my business. My father, I was raised at East Lake Country Club in Atlanta, Bobby Jones' home course. And there's the famous island hole. You're either on the green or you're in the water. It's a par 3. That's the only saving grace. You got a rough shot of, a short shot, and you're on the green. And his instructions for his burial when he died was A, cremate me, and then take me to the 6th hole on a calm day. He didn't want to have his ashes blown in the water with 8,000 golf balls he kept there. He said, on a calm day, and then put your hand up and pour me into the cup.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
they moved the holes around, but whoever
Yep.
moved the hole next probably wondered why there was that puff of black smoke. That was my father.
Wow. No kidding. That's wild. That's wild. I went one time, Ben, along that same thing to it was people that would have got it, or I probably wouldn't have done it because my sense of humor at times comes out when it shouldn't at times, but I've got better at controlling that usually. But luckily it was people that got it, and they was doing the ashes thing, right? And it was well after, long time. It was old guy. So not like it was like not that it's never not sad, but it wasn't like unexpected, right? And there's no wind, but as they're spreading the ashes, I just intentionally let out this big sneeze and go, "Ow, oh!" And they're all looking at me because they thought the ashes all blew back on me. And there might have been a couple people that says, "Randy, you're just not right." And I said,
That may have been a too soon moment.
Yeah, but you think? Yeah. But we all exactly. Oh. Man, so Ben, it's been a while since obviously with Wes taking an unexpected and unintended vacation there for a while, a hiatus.
Yeah.
Sometimes the guy will do anything to get out of work. We got to talk about that, Wes, someday. But,
I thought about that.
Yeah. It's like just say you need some time off, dude. But no, not Wes. But anyway, it's been too long, and we just wanted to get you back on and chat about what have you been doing? What's up with you and the lovely Gigi? What's going on in Sacramento, or actually
Gigi,
Placerville? But
Gigi's still mean. She's very mean to me, as you know. On a personal level, we've had something exciting happen. In fact, since we started the show, Gigi walked through again. She's been gone all morning. Her brother died on the 4th of July 2+ years ago. And so that was sad. And we all got through that. And then the phone rings a couple of months ago. And the lady says, "Hi, you don't know me, but there's this DNA familial thing." I may not be pronouncing familial right, but where
right.
they find out sort of where you came from. And I'm the daughter of your brother. So
Wow.
David Ronzoni, and she's a grown woman, and he didn't know he had a daughter. It was a friendship here in town, and he went his way, and I guess she went her way, and this lovely lady was born. And so now Gigi has a cousin. I'm not good at this. She has a cousin. One of her nephews now has a sister he didn't know about. They spent the last few days reminiscing about what could have been and everything. And the good news is she's a lovely lady. She's one of those people we would be good friends with if there was no DNA connection or anything. But anyway, I married into a large family, having come from a small family. So after 30 some odd years, I'm still trying to get used to being a member of a large Italian family called Ronzoni and what they're up to. And just when I got settled in, they threw in another one.
That's another one. You need name tags. Ben, you have to do like some of my Amish customers. When you have a get together, you have to put name tags on everybody. I got a good friend of mine, and he's got like 13, 14 kids, which is not abnormal, and they all are adults, and they all got to 8, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So there's a lot, right? And I asked him one day, I said, you got to tell me the truth here. When you get together in a big family thing, he said, do you ever not really know that this kid is your grandkid? I mean, there's 70 some of them, right? And he goes, I always know they're my grandson or daughter. I may not always remember which of my children they belong to. I know they're mine somewhere. I'm just not sure. Is your dad Billy, Levi, Amos? Who's your dad again? He said,
Probably a lot of Yoders, like turn around when they say that.
Yes, they actually have Yoder's ice cream here in my gated community thing here that we live in, and which is kind of exciting because having spent a lot of my life in that world, I always get a kick out of eating some good old fashioned, down on a farm ish, even though this one's kind of a commercially made to sort of replicate down on the farm, but still it's just better than what you buy at the store. But
I bet it's not as good as the stuff you get at one of the Amish stores. That's for sure.
No, I had dinner with it, with a great young couple, Ben and Wes, a while back, and they said, "Hey, we appreciate a lot of stuff you've done for us," and which was nice of them to say, and said, "We'd like to have you over to have dinner with us at the house. I'll get some big old Wagyu steaks, and we'll just do it." That'd be great. So what can I bring? Nothing. Don't. You sure? And so I show up, and he cooks steaks. She's making, young couple, making all the little corn and all the stuff. It's brilliant, brilliant dinner. And the funny thing is, I had to tell them the story, and I told the husband the story once. So they had a peanut butter pie, and if you've ever had Plain Community pies, I would dare say I don't care who you are commercially, you can't come close. There's just amazing. But so they had this peanut butter pie because, to make a long story short, I one time might have been known to have got a peanut butter pie from a Plain Community lady. I'm on the road. So of course I took it in the room at night because it's summer and you don't want the pie to get bad in the car, right? And so I told Dixie chick that I got this pie. She said, "Well, that's nice." So long story short, Ben, I get home and Dixie says, "Where's that pie?" She goes, "Did you eat the whole pie?" I'm just like, "Well, not the same night."
Yeah.
She says, "It's been 2 nights." I said, "Exactly. Half a pie and half a pie." So I told this couple this, and they go, "So what was your lesson out of that?" I said, "Oh, simple. I didn't miss a beat. I don't tell Dixie."
Exactly.
I mean, if I get home and there's a pie, then I'll bring it in. But if there's not, because I said, believe me, 5 slices of pie in 2 nights, Randy can kill that easily. Yeah. Hey friends, it's Randy here, the owner of Source One Marketing, iBuyFromRandy.com, and I got to tell you, we are proud to sponsor the Building Wins Live podcast and vlogcast. We have 4+ decades in this beautiful industry of supplying materials, supplying services, supplying marketing assistance, and we just are proud to sponsor Building Wins Live and some great guests that we have every single week, many of them from our beloved industry and many of them from outside the industry that still bring some incredible content. So make sure to check us out at iBuyFromRandy.com and let us know what you think about this show. For now, thanks for checking this out. Let's get back to the show. But anyway, so that's but it's great to have you back, my friend. It's been too long, and it's been way too long, and we're just happy to be back. And I've been following every week your tales with Denise Griffiths on Wednesday nights, typically walking through the Closer series, and having read them years ago and still peruse those. I mean, they're usually back behind me in my bookcase, but I've always got them around. It's a book, and and I know you sent one, signed one, and sent it to my younger son, who's like 100 years old now because I'm old, but he's good at what he does, and he has. I think I've told you before, he still has his guys read your book. If you're a new salesman, you got to read the book, and it's good stuff. So thank you for continuing to promote that. I guess was my point on Denise's podcast. That you guys, first place, Denise is just a sweetheart. I just love the hell out of Denise. I think she's amazing. But you guys do such a great job of walking through, a chapter or parts of chapters every Wednesday night. So if people are silly enough to be in the sales world at all and haven't read the closers, well, you need to fix that. But secondarily, go watch Denise's a podcast on Wednesday nights with you, because man, it's first class good stuff.
And we're about to add another book to the Closes series. That would be part what? I forget.
Let's see. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. Is that siete? Is that right? Is siete? Is that right?
Part 7?
Part 7. Yes, we are. Who's doing that for you? Who's doing that for you?
I don't know, some old road guy.
You had to say old first, didn't you? Real nice.
One of those people you meet, when you're out on the road and so on. One of him. But it'll be a great combo with the book you have out now. So we're excited about it. And, and there we go. Hold it up again, Wes. There we go.
Yes, that, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Ben. The first book, it's done way better than I ever thought it would do, and I've been pleased, and it's really exciting. And I'm speaking. I'm acting like I know something. I'm talking to a guy that misplaced more books than I'll ever sell, but still, the excitement the other day when I got a call from a guy I've got to know, networked with, Chris Miller. He's head of I think he's director of construction lending for the First Federal Bank of Kansas City, and they have a whole section of they promote themselves as the Barn-Do Pros, because barn-dominiums is huge. Barn-dominiums is a little more challenging in some markets to get financed. They specialize in this, and they're very good at it. And he had bought several of my books when we've been together and gave them to different people, which I thought was like really cool. He sends me last week Friday night. He says, "This is an emergency. Whatever you can do." He says, "I've got a presentation on with my team on Tuesday, and I need to get your book in all their hands." He says, "It's exactly what they need to hear." And he says, "Whatever it is, whatever the cost, I need to get." So I obviously felt very blessed, right? It was 25 books, but it wasn't the number of books. It was just that he wanted it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I signed them off Saturday morning, loving the hell out of it, right? Promoting it all over social, because that's a lot of what my first book is about. That's what we should be doing. And it was just I'm just trying to explain in my words, which I'm not doing very well with, the excitement and the honor to realize that there's somebody silly enough to give a shit about what I have to say. You know what I'm saying? And so it's I've got another group that's got 50 of my books right now that are doing it's a part of their book of the month club right now. It's going to be, well, it'll be exciting if they love it. It'll suck if they don't, and then I won't say a word about it, but anyway, but Ben, thank you for the opportunity. And Wes wrote an amazing forward for the book. I mean, he said all this nice crap and everything, which is like pretty amazing.
From the heart, brother.
Well, and it's exciting. It's all about something that you've done for years, Ben, and you talk about a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that. Look at that right there in your hands. To the living legend has my book in his hand. I don't know if it gets any better now. But, I mean, my wife's making some good dinner tonight, which is pretty good too. But next to that, that's pretty good. I got to say that because if she overhears me, I still want to eat, dude. I mean, I'll help you, man, but I still want to eat dinner. But, I'm excited. I think this book will, just to be part of the Closers family is huge for me. I appreciate the opportunity, and I really worked hard. Not that I wouldn't have anyways, but to honor you, because that's just being part of that is a big deal to me. So thank you. That's all I'm saying. Well, I guess I just could have just said thank you, but I'm a sales guy, so I freaking talk more than I listen sometimes, and I preach just the opposite. See, I don't practice what I preach, Ben, but
I'm a Southerner. I understand.
Yeah.
Somebody says, I've got a quick question for you. I said, the answer won't be quick.
Well, you know what I say sometimes? Dixie says, "Dude, why do you talk so much?" Because I'm old and I got a lot of shit to say yet, and I don't know how much time I got. So, yeah. I mean, I got stuff to say. So, but Wes, and to you, you know, there would be nobody I'd rather have. And you and I are going to do some stuff together once you get your, you know, the first thing you got to do is finish the road you're on, which has been an incredible story. And then we're going to do some stuff together, brother. So you know that.
Well, and I'm writing my own as well, and I haven't even told Ben this yet. He told me that he would write the foreword to it before I even had the book even in mind, and I thought that was amazing. But the tie-in that I have with you, Ben, is going to it's chef kiss beautiful. So I think you're going to love it, and you know, I'm absolutely overjoyed to be able to write the foreword, or having written the foreword to the Closer 7. I'm sorry that I wasn't part of it, but it just the time that I was off in the recovery time just threw a gigantic monkey wrench in the plan, and you already had it all but done. And at the end of the day, you are the hybrid road warrior that does this. My contributions probably would have been very similar to things that you had already put in there. So a forward is going to be much better than the contribution.
Well, I don't know about that, but still, the forward is great. And yeah, I can't wait for your book. And you talked about Ben writing the forward. I just have to show it because it's just so cool. My book, you can't see it, but Ben wrote the forward for the Asphalt and Algorithms, which it was pretty special. So yeah, we're looking at, and we can quit talking about this or not talk. We'll talk about forever. You know me, I'm a promoter, but I think we're looking at Ben. I told Gail, my editor, that I wanted to have books in my hand at a second or third week of September trade show that I'll be speaking at and doing some things. So, you know, I want to be doing some book signing promo stuff there. So we're a little fast tracking, as you know. I'm speaking again to not the choir, but the choir director. There's a lot of stuff between a finished manuscript and actually having the book in the hand, right? It's not
Sometimes
like tomorrow.
that's longer than writing the book.
Yeah.
Closers Part 2, I wrote by hand in, I'm saying 30 days, if that. And it was a part-time thing. You know, when I had a moment, I would add to it and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ran into firsthand. Closers Part 1 was pretty much done by other people for me. But Part 2, I was deeply involved in, and I'm not a very patient person. And I'm thinking, I wrote it in less than a month. How come you can't produce it? Why do you need 4 or 5 months to do that? Well, now I know.
Yeah.
So
it is
a joy to welcome you to that family officially. And Wes, it'll be a joy to welcome you, in addition to the forward, your own book. And I look forward to it. And the series is getting longer and bigger and stronger. I'm really proud of it. But the promotion of the book that you did with your, I'll show it again. I'm a big believer in showing things. The promotion you've done with that, and sharing it and putting out information and getting people to pose with it and so on, is invaluable. I told Gigi, he's going to sell a ton of these things because he's promoting it right. And some other people don't do that, whether they're part of the Closer series or not. I think they thought, well, I just write a book and I'll be rich. The average book sells less than 500 copies. And the way the publishing industry knows that's the smallest run you can do that makes any sense, is 500. And then my printing friends tell me, and rarely do they ever reorder. You know, and they said, well, how many of you, but you come from a publishing background. I said, well, Dr. Hill worked with me and for me officially, but with me. I never forgot who was who in our relationship. But he sold 100 million, they think, over the years, nobody really knows figures like that.
Right.
We think we've sold in part one 10.5 million when we quit counting 30 years ago. So to see somebody promote their book, I know the difference between praying it'll sell and people will go on the internet and say, I sold a book today. And I think, I'm excited for you, but don't say that out loud. Let
Yeah.
them assume some other figure. I'm
Yeah.
forever,
Yeah.
I got one this morning from a good friend doing a book signing in a clothing store. Gigi saw it first. I said, how many people were there? And she said, well, I don't see anybody else. Should he have shot it where he could catch the crowd? I said, there was no crowd.
There's some mannequins. There were some mannequins.
You're doing a book signing in a clothing store. It's time to. Steve Williford has been a co-writer with me on several projects. Was at a book signing somewhere, and it didn't sound right to me. Nor is he very well known because he's been a ghostwriter and a co-writer and so on. I said, well, what did you do all day? Sort of knowing it wasn't signing books one after the other. He said, well, I dusted, I straightened up their shelves, and I tried to look like I wasn't a loser. So, to see you promote that book that way, I knew you were going to do well with it. And I want you to do that with the Closers Part 7 and Wes's upcoming book, etc. Because you do the world a great service. This isn't ego talking, but I've had so many people over the years say, we have this house, we have these cars, I put the kids through college because you taught me how to write a book and how to promote a book and so on. And then above and beyond that, the sales are nice for my books and everybody else's books. But in my case, the Closers has been my passport. I call it my passport to credibility. I get speaking engagements when I used to do 300 a year. I'm now down to 12 a year, but I adjusted the price accordingly. But I've gotten speaking engagements from people who didn't know who I was until I said, are you familiar with the Closers? Oh, the Blue Book? Yes. It's the Bible of the sales industry. I said, it's mine. You're hired.
Yeah.
Just come on in. And you get yours out and the one you already have out. And you'll see the benefits aren't just book sales.
Right. Right.
You know what's really funny about that, though, Ben? That you were talking about the gentleman that was doing a book signing at the clothing store. I know that was kind of a humorous thing, but several years ago on his second book, I saw Gary Vee at a Barnes and Noble, and I know that there weren't 20 people there. I was in the front row. And there was a smattering of people there, and Lord only knows if it was the weather, if it was the location, what it was. But I will tell you that Gary came in and he gave a presentation like there was 1,000 people there. He didn't come in and shake his head like, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, he walked in, he acted like he was getting applause for 10 minutes. He sat down, and he gave more than an hour speech, and then signed every book, or anything that anybody put in front of him, took pictures, and it was an incredible experience. And I think that whether it's you going through and putting your stuff on on Facebook, which I see on a regular basis, commenting on people's posts, which, by the way, you are without a doubt one of the first people that love or like or do something on posts that I put out, and I'm sure all of your friends. And then you got who you just mentioned, Randy, who is sitting down reading excerpts from the book, showing himself signing books, whatever the case may be. And it is so important to do that, because we have this it's rented space, but it's free. We have radio stations, we have publishing, we have newspapers, we have all the different things that are at our disposal with these social media locations. And man, if you're not doing it, you're nuts.
Yeah, you got to stand out. Years ago, before everybody, when I met Dr. Hill, he was the only published author I knew that I'd ever met. Now I almost don't know anyone who hasn't published a book. And this is before social media. The first statistic I heard and remembered was 50,000 new books come into print every year. Today, that's God knows how many, but when it was a book, 50,000 books come in a year, new ones, and 50,000 go out of print. It's probably more than that because nobody says, hi, I'm going out of print. They just fade away. But if you understand that you're up against tens of thousands of book titles, you got to stand out. Yours has got to have something that somebody recognizes. In our case, we've made it recognizable. The Closers is a recognizable name. The Closers blue is almost an official color in the Spectrum now. My name is, I appear on most of the books if the author wants me to be there. But my name is famous, and it does so. And then if you pump it, I had a friend locally who said to me one day, I published a book. I said, really? I didn't know that. He said, is that a mistake on my part? I said, yeah, I know you socially and didn't know you'd written a book. Have you told anybody about it? He said, I think it's carried on Amazon if you ask for it. I said, you think it's carried on? I think we've stumbled upon the marketing problem you're having.
Yes.
Yeah, because if somebody asks, how do you get your book? And you go, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. It might be on Amazon. I don't know.
Go down in my basement. There's lots of them down there.
Yeah. That's right. I told Randy, I look at the book as essentially a $4 or $5 business card. And then you have to do the rest from there. I mean, people aren't going to go looking for it.
No. And people slough off making it look like something. The old saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. Well, that's too bad because many people do. Mm-hmm. Does it catch your eye? Does it have a good title? Is it memorable? I'm sure we could do even better, but I'm happy with that one. The Closers Part 1 is up there on the screen. If you see a display of those in the bookstore, they're sort of hard to miss. Mm-hmm. And if you're not into selling, you may not be interested. I got that, and I'm not offended by that. But first, we make it applicable. And then a little secret Dr. Hill taught me years ago. I said there was a copy of Think and Grow Rich on our coffee table in our house the first time he came to visit. And I was sort of embarrassed because that isn't where it normally was. But my wife, not Gigi, my first wife who's passed away, had placed it there so that Dr. Hill would think that we sat around in the living room every night in our white robes reading Think and Grow Rich. And so I said, oh, look, Doctor, Think and Grow Rich. And he sort of smiled. And I said, how does it feel to have written one of the bestsellers? They used to say second only to the Bible. I don't know if that was true then or now, but I said, how does it feel to have written one of the best-selling books of all time? He said, best-selling, least read. And he said, has that one been opened? And I said, yeah, that's what I read. It was given to me the day I joined Multi-Level Marketing. And so I promise you it's been read. He says, good. You'd be surprised how many times the book is out for me to see, and I pick it up, and it's never been cracked. It's never been opened, and I can tell it. I've got one here. I don't know how we got off on this, but this is Think and Grow Rich, the original book. A friend of mine who's read it and went back when she worked for me, saw it at a garage sale for 50 cents. And she said, I knew you'd want it. She said, so I got it for you. And she said, then like that story you tell about Dr. Hill, she said, be careful when you open it. The binding has never been cracked. And it still hasn't. I'm going to leave it this way forever. Oh. It was opened when Mrs. Grace Dixon presented it to Dr. Hill to have him sign it. I know the story just because I've been in the business. I don't know who Grace Dixon is, but she heard he was coming to town. She bought a ticket. She went to the thing. She heard him talk. She got in line and bought a book. He signed it. She was going to change her life. Now, here's a little secret. There's something else I know. Bright red, cherry red, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bright red, cherry red. She took it home and put it in the bookcase. And there it sat, being bleached out by the sun for 75 years.
Wow.
No one has ever opened this book except Dr. Hill to sign it. So one of the things I try and get across to people who I'm either consulting with or they're joining the Closers family or whatever is they don't sell themselves. You've got to promote them. You've got to stand out. And once you do, then you get to ride on the whole, if they're joining the Closers, you then get to ride on the whole Closers series. They may not be thrilled about your book. They may not be thrilled about the Closers Part 1, but they know the family that it came from, and they know that they are the Bibles of the sales industry. Randy, you'll get a kick out of this once your book is out. When somebody says to you, the Closers, I've never heard of the Closers. And I'd like to say, how long have you been in selling, not counting this morning?
That's funny.
That's
good.
That's like a Christian going into a Christian bookstore, wandering around for a few minutes and said, what is this? That's the Bible. We got a Bible? Yeah.
That's
You're
funny.
getting autographed copies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no kid. That's awesome. You know, I was thinking when I was listening to you talk, and he's talking about promotion and some of those things, and I would take credit for it, but he's a good friend of the show. Name's going to escape me for a minute, but Dave from England, Wes, you know.
Yeah. You shouldn't have said anything.
I know. I say he's our good.
Remember it.
We'll get it in a minute, but he did this all around London. Not every day, but I picked it up and I've done it and I had a great result. So what I did is I was at a trade show, believe it or not. Maybe I'll write about that someday. And so I left a note, a little handwritten sticky note in it, something to the effect of, if you find this, it must have been meant for you. My name's Randy. Come find me. I'll be around. I'd love to sign this for you. And I just left it, just in, like laying by a table or something, just around, the show floor or the host hotel. Both people that I left come and found me. They come and found me. This one guy says, hey, I've got a copy of your book. I'd love you to sign it. And I said, did you bring it with you? Did you get it on Amazon? Because if you order it on my website, I sign it, right? And I said, so did you get this from Amazon? You brought it with you? He says, no. He says, I found it laying out in the lobby. And I said, no kidding. So he actually tracked me down to find it. And we took a picture, and so and Dave Rogers. From the UK, he was the first one that he told us, and he left one of his books laying on a bench in either London or Manchester or wherever it was. It doesn't matter. And the same idea. So I don't do it a lot because, like anything like that, it needs to be somewhat special, right? But I'll leave one here or there, post hotel bar. I'll leave it on the bar stool or something, and just walk away. It's and you know what, Ben and Wes, if they don't find me, they still might have got a book. And I think I also wrote in there, if you're not interested in this, if it doesn't, I get it. Give it to somebody that is, right? Yeah. But like I said, both people come and found me, and I that was just, I don't know, that was a giveaway that was more exciting to me than selling 50 books. Yeah. Right? Because they made the effort to go, I think I know who this guy is, right? Which was in itself worthwhile. But secondarily, they made the effort to come find me. So, funny, how did you, I don't know that the many times we've talked, whether on the show here or when we've been together in California, but how did you come up with the closer's name? I mean, it's obvious what it is, to us guys in sales. Did you think about that then, or did it just pop in your head, or where did? Because I don't know that we've ever talked about that.
It's more embarrassing than that.
Okay.
I wouldn't have named it the Closers if it had been up to me, but I bought a copy of the Closers. Notice on the bottom it says I'm the part one. I'm the editor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I bought a copy because I had started the toll-free call center industry, and then discovered after we were up running and I was hiring people that over 80%, almost 90% of Americans in 1976 didn't know how a toll-free number worked, didn't know it was free, didn't put it in their ads or anything. So since I had employees doing nothing, I started passing out publications, magazines and whatever. I took the Wall Street Journal and said, find ads that don't have 800 numbers in it. That wasn't hard. That could benefit from, a direct response ad that could benefit from an 800 number. Then I wrote 6 letters, a series. And if we clipped out your ad and mailed it to you, it had letter 1. If you bought, we took you out of the series. If you didn't, you got letter 2, 3. Each one telling you why you should have an 800 number in your advertising, what it would do, what I thought it would do, because I had to make up numbers in those early days.
Yep.
Turned out I was lowballing. And one day I had the Wall Street Journal. I had my little pen knife out, and I was clipping out ads, sending the typing request down to word processing with the ad clipped to it, and that would go in letter number 1. And I looked at the one I'd clipped out because it said something about closing, but it was a poorly written, very small ad. I thought, I wonder what that is. And it had a price. I forget what it was. This is years ago, $14.95 or something. So on a hunch, I tore out a check, wrote it, and put it with the typing request and sent it off. Had they not reacted or mailed me a book, I never would have thought about it again. I wasn't crouched by the mailbox waiting. I wasn't even sure what it was. I thought maybe it was a book. About 3 weeks later, as best I recall, I get this package. If I got that package today, I'd call the bomb squad. It was poorly wrapped in brown paper that wasn't an envelope, crayon on the address.
That looked like
like the books I used to do when I went to school, where you wrapped them in the bag and you color on it. Okay.
Exactly. So reluctantly, I opened it, and then like you do when you get a book, I'll use yours again. First of all, I flip through the pages, to see if there's a bookmark, see if there's something noticeable that I should see. The pages shot all over the office. So I started looking at it and picked up a page or two. Horrible grammar, bad spelling, etc. And of the pages that didn't shoot across the office that were still in the book, half of them were bound in upside down. And I thought, well, okay, I've been cheated out of more than this. I didn't even remember what it was. So I went to throw it in the trash can. My briefcase, same one that's within sight of where I'm sitting, I've been dragging around the world for 50 years, old leather Hartman, was sitting there open. And being cheap, I thought, well, I tell you what I'll do. I'll take it on the plane. I was about to go to New York and look through it and see if there's anything. And then I even had a plan. I will leave it in the back seat pocket of the seat in front of me and let them throw it out. I wouldn't have to worry about that. Well, I started flipping through it. I had found the Dead Sea Scrolls of selling. An idiot savant who didn't know how to write, didn't know how to spell, didn't know how to run a printing press. They snuck into a print shop late at night and ran off what copies they had. There were 3 of them that were partners. Anyway, but I'm thinking there's something here. So when I got off the plane, LaGuardia, I went right over to a payphone on the wall, picked it up and dialed the number that was in the book. And I said, hi, I just read The Closers. And this guy said, well, Mr. Gay, how are you?
That's great.
Yeah, no caller ID,
No,
and it's a
yeah.
payphone in LaGuardia. I'm from New York. I mean, from
Yep.
California.
Right.
So I said, "How'd you know who I was?" He said, "Well, sir, we printed 500 books. We ran one ad in the Wall Street Journal one day, and we sold one book. So if you've read the closers, your name is Ben Gay, and you're in Placerville, California."
Oh
I'll
man.
shorten the story. I got the rights to the book, the rights to rewrite it and publish it and clean up. The cover didn't look that nice, to say the least, but it was called The Closers. And if I were to rewrite the series today, it would be something like The Openers, because
Mm,
closing, important as it is the least part of the sale.
right.
But it's so
Right.
well known. You know, if I didn't like the name Nestle Chocolate, and I own Nestle's, I wouldn't change the name. The whole world knows of Nestle's chocolate.
Right. Right.
The whole
That's
world now
very
knows
much
it.
Ray Kroc McDonald's kind of a story, Ben.
Yeah, he was selling milkshake machines.
Yeah.
And
But I mean that whole idea is very similar.
Yep.
That's
So
awesome.
anyway, I got the rights. They sold. Here's the difference, ladies and gentlemen, listening to this or watching it. Here's the difference with knowing what you're doing in sales and marketing. They ran one ad one day, sold one book. I got the rights to it, cleaned it up, and sold 10.5 million copies of that book when we quit counting 30 years ago. Story about laying books, is that right? Laying books around and letting people find them. We used to sell a lot through bookstores before I discovered the miracle of I make a lot more if we sell them directly.
Mhm.
But with the discount and all, we did well. One day, I said, "I've noted," and I'm making up a bookstore name. I think I'm right. If not, it's another chain. I said to our rep, "I noticed we're not getting orders from Barnes and Noble. Why not?" He says, "I haven't been able to crack them. The buyer there is not a big person on business books and so on. They just sort of restock what they have." I said, "Huh." So we have a Barnes and Noble down in Sacramento, about 20 miles from where I'm sitting. I took, I think it was 3 copies of The Closers, and I reverse shoplifted. I went into Barnes and put them on the shelf, figuring what would happen. And I know nothing about computers, but just common sense. Somebody eventually would pick one up, take it up to the register. She wouldn't have it, so she would enter it so she could sell it. And then it's in their system. Then when they sell out the other 2, their system shows they're out of books, and they'll start reordering. And they did.
Wow.
That's
Became our
genius.
largest book chain buyer because I gave them 3 books.
Yeah.
And
I wonder
That's-
what would happen if the police would have caught you, Ben. I don't even know what the charge would be for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Littering, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's wild.
But,
That's
anyway, it
good
was
stuff.
very, very successful. But even with my dim computer brain, you guys, to you guys, I'm a Luddite. I can barely, open email. As we
Yeah.
discovered trying to hook up my microphone today.
Well, it was only 13 minutes, Ben. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I was just impressed hearing a real phone ring.
Yeah.
That sounded like a real phone.
Yeah. It did.
Because I have it on old dial.
Oh man, you just ruined me, Ben. I
yeah,
was
yeah.
waiting for a dialing phone.
Yep.
Pick it up
Yeah.
on
The old dialing phones where you had to dial all these numbers, and if you screwed one up about 9 numbers in, then you had to hit the thing and start all over again. It's like,
Right.
yeah.
I was telling a story about when I got in Holiday Magic and the cosmetics for those of you. It used to be the largest multi-level marketing company in the world. When I joined it, I answered a little one ad and began interviewing the guy because I was Ben Gay of Brown Gay Food Brokers, skipping over the part that the Brown Gay in Brown Gay Food Brokers was my father, not me. I was standing in a phone booth answering one ads. So I called the guy, and began interviewing him because I am Ben Gay with Brown Gay Food Brokerage, and I want to know if he's qualified to hire me. I was looking for a way to make some money to put my wife through nursing school. And about 5 questions deep into my interview of him, his name was Bill Dempsey, dear friend he's gone now. But about 5 questions in, he said, Mr. Gay, and there was a sound when you went into a phone booth, into one. It sounded like a garbage can. He said, Mr. Gay, I'm not the man standing in a phone booth answering want ads. Where are you? And I told him. He said, you're about 2 blocks from my office, 1447 West Peachtree Street, Atlanta. You have 10 minutes to be standing in front of me or never dial this number again. And he slammed down the phone. And
Wow.
some people of my son, or youngest son's age, said, what do you mean slam down the phone? I said, oh, we didn't hit delete in those days. We slammed down the phone. He
Yes.
said, well, I guess I've seen those in the movies.
And that's an art that's missed because, there's times where I thought about just getting an old phone if you could find one and having it on my desk just when, because it's not the same thing when you hit delete and then you just say shit to the phone, right? Yeah, there's nothing like you can just, there's just something about that.
I said good day, sir. And
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ben, wasn't there another very noteworthy person there at the interview when you showed up? I seem to remember maybe somebody that people might know.
Yeah, I ran in because I wanted to be there before the 10 minutes was up. Rucker came around to pick me up, Jimmy Rucker, my partner. And I jumped in the car like Batman and Robin, And I said, quick, hurry up, 1447 West Peachtree Street. And he said, what are we going to do? I said, we're going to be rich. Because my theory was anybody who would pay for an ad, then insult the person who answered it and slam down the phone, probably had something going on. Reverse selling. So I go skidding into the office, say to the receptionist, hi, I'm Ben Gay. She said, we've been waiting for you. You're a couple of minutes early. And from behind me came Ben Gay. And somebody's making fun of my name. Well, I'm sort of used to that. So I turned around and I said, yeah, my name's Ben Gay. What's yours? And he said, Zig Ziglar. Zig had answered the same ad and was there for the same, we thought, interview. It was an opportunity meeting. And so Zig and I and Jimmy Rucker, and indirectly, he wasn't there, Zig's partner, Mel Lanius, all joined. We put up $91.41 to get in, which I had to borrow from Rucker. I said, you're not married, so you can get along without a paycheck this week. And it was about, after taxes, about $91.41.
Mm-hmm.
So I borrowed his money to put in. I assumed Zig, he was 18 years older and had some success selling cookware. I assumed Zig had $91.41 and we got in. Fast forward 2 years later, I'm president of Holiday Magic Cosmetics, having won a year-long national sales contest. First prize was a mystery prize. Second was a Rolls Royce. Third was a Lincoln Continental. Fourth was a Thunderbird, and then you got into steak knife sets and desk sets and so on. And so on. I'm not a contest guy. I do all I can every day, and if that wins a television set, whoopee. But I wouldn't get up a half hour earlier to see if I could win the television.
Right.
Zig was a contest guy, and it was important to him. He won everything he got in. So at the end of contest, I'm not even sure I knew it was the end. I knew it was near the end. Rucker and I got an opportunity to go to somewhere north of South Carolina to do a meeting, and we did. That was the last day of the contest. I didn't know that, but it was. And we had a very successful meeting and racked up quite a bit of sales. The next day, they called me from San Rafael, California, and said, Mr. Gay, you won the contest. You won the mystery prize. I said, what's the mystery prize? We'll have to come out here to know. So flew out, met with William Penpatrick. He took me to dinner. And I said, okay, I won the mystery prize. What is it? He said, you can be president of the company. And I said, my God, I don't think I'm qualified. He said, you're not, but you're a good speaker and obviously a good salesperson. We'll teach you the rest of it. And we've got 150 employees in the office in accounting and this and that to back you up. I'm not worried about that, but you're the president of the company. As president of the company, I started having people dig through the records. I wanted to know how much I beat Zig by. It turned out that the last night of the contest, we sold X number of dollars. Let's just say 20,000. I really don't know what it was, but we sold $20,000 worth of stuff. Zig, and we were virtually tied with Zig. He went to a celebratory victory party in Columbia, South Carolina, to celebrate his victory winning this year-long sales contest. I sold, he celebrated. I became president. He worked for me.
I love that story. Yeah, every time you tell that story, it's great. And you know, it makes me think about when you just said it. You see it in modern day so many times in college or professional football. The guy that decides to celebrate a yard and a half before the goal line. He just ran 78 yards. He's going to be a hero. Over 1 billion people seeing him. Just won the game, and he drops the ball because he was too excited to do his thing on TV, right?
Exactly.
And I think about that a lot. Is don't drop the ball before the goal line, because I come from an era, and Ben, you're like 2 to 3 days older than me. Well, Ben, the book isn't out. I still got to be nice to him, Wes, because he could still yank my Closer 7, so I got to be nice. But I come from an era that when you scored a touchdown in high school, you handed the ball to the ref and you just jogged over to the sideline. You might high five a few guys, but you act you act like you've been there. That is the purpose of why we ran that play, was designed to score a touchdown. It's like you didn't do anything magical. And so I still remember that, but that's a great story. And I want to be cognizant of your time, and you've been very kind, but I got to say one thing before we kind of wrap up. That talking about books, and you mentioned earlier about books never being the broken open or whatever. And you may or may not remember this, Ben, but I remember a couple of years ago, we were chatting and talking about Zig. And See You at the Top, right? I said, I love that book. It was always my favorite. I said, I've had 2 or 3 copies. The last one I had in 2 or 3 moves, I've just lost it. I don't have it. And I remember a week or so later, he asked me for my address, which cool. Send me something, an ink pen or something. I don't know. I always like stuff. and all of a sudden, this book shows up. It's from Ben. I go, well, this is cool, but I already have his book. He sent me signed copies of his closers already, but hey, I'll take another copy. What the hell? And I opened it up, and you had sent me a copy that you had read, that you had tattered pages and little notes and folded over pages and stuff of a book that you'd read from Zig. And I still have it sitting right on my desk in my Michigan house because I didn't want to take a chance of bringing it to Florida and losing it again, because you probably aren't going to keep giving me books forever. And but the difference between, I could have just went to you listened and you remembered, which says so much about you, right? But secondarily, not only did you listen and remember, nice guy that you are, I could see, I'll just buy Randy a book. I'm at the bookstore, and he's a nice guy, and bought me a book and sent it to me, which would have been incredibly nice. But the fact that you sent me a book that you have read, and I sat and just envisioned what you were thinking when you read it. So I have never forgot that. I'll never get rid of that book, and I'll thank you again for it. I mean, I look at it every day when I'm working from home in Michigan. I mean, that's pretty cool. So
Zig was a cool guy. And it's one of those things, every few years, Gigi makes me clean out the office books. First time she made me do it, I gave 5,000 books to the local library and a used bookstore here in town.
wow.
They said, well, we'll have to look through them and see what they're worth. I said, they're yours. If you find the Gutenberg Bible and your conscience is bothering you, send me a check.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't want them in my office like trophies and no one ever reads them again. So I'd rather have them out where they have a chance of being read. Great book story. If we're wrapping this up,
Yeah, go ahead.
I've told you this before, I'm sure. When I taught my People Builders program at San Quentin, it was a 12-hour session, 6 o'clock Friday night to 6 o'clock Saturday morning, once a week. I didn't get paid for it. I sold the warden on the idea of paying for it. And he said, I'm going to rush this through and get it approved. I said, how much time are we talking about? And he says, oh, I like this. We're going to do it. Probably 2 years. And I thought, oh, I'm dealing with the government. I forgot.
Yep.
And I said, 2 years. What if we do it for free? Because I was sort of fascinated about being inside San Quentin. And he said, well, we could start this afternoon. So we did for 5 years. And a year or two deep in that, lieutenant came up to me one day and he said, so I've got an inmate who wants to meet you. And I said, well, great. Tell him to come to the class. Anyone, if you want on death row or the adjustment center, which is sort of junior college for death row, I could go anywhere in the prison unescorted and they could come to the class. He said, well, this one can't come. I said, death row? He said, no, the adjustment center. And it was right there. He said, he's probably looking at us right now. Charlie Manson wants to meet you. And so I took a day or two to set up, but I go into the adjustment center, taken up to Charlie's cell, I think on the second or third tier, last cell on the left. I'll never forget where it was. And I walk up and there's Manson sitting there like you probably picture him, you know, the long hair and the swastika in the middle of his forehead and so on, looking like a caged animal, which he was. And they said, Charlie, Mr. Gay's here. And he stood up. He says, well, come in. I said, I'd like to, but I believe let me in. So they did. I walk in. He's got a 2-man cell, but nobody wanted to sleep with Charlie Manson. So Charlie had one cell with 2 bunks in it. The bunk on top was his storage area. He had some clothing up there and so on. And he had his only book. He didn't have the Gideon Bible, which they all got, you know, coming in the door. He didn't even have that. He had one book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So after I'd been there a few minutes and we were on a first name basis, I said, Charlie, I'm looking at the book you have up there. It's an interesting choice. He said, it's my Bible. I couldn't have built the Manson family without it.
Wow.
I've told that story to so many people, Ben, and if you could see the hair on my arm, it's still up because you normally tell that story in reverse. You tell the fact that it was up there and who it was, and when I tell people that, I mean their jaw drops and they're like, "Are you kidding me?" Because you know my mom went through that whole course, training, 5 days of driving and staying in a hotel, and the very fact that you could take that book and do such bad things with it, when I can't tell you how many people have sent their employees to do good things.
Sure.
It's just amazing.
Yep.
I sent all of our sons to Dale Carnegie at one time or other as they were coming up for public speaking and confidence and so on. I'm a big believer, but I never say his name without thinking. It's like a gun. You can use a gun to rob a bank and kill people, or you can use a gun to threaten people out of your house to protect your family.
Right.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. You can start a cult and kill, probably that we know of, probably a dozen people, or you can turn your life around and become a multimillionaire.
Yep.
It's the same exact book and the same exact techniques.
Yeah. It's
Manson,
amazing.
I told Jimmy Rucker one day, my running buddy, still lives in Atlanta. He said, what was it like to meet Manson? I said, let me tell you something. Be glad that you and I, wandering around, not knowing what we were going to do with our lives, weren't in San Francisco in 1967 during the Summer of Love in Haight-Ashbury. There's a very good chance that we would have been in Sharon Tate's house killing people. And he said, "Oh, that's not possible." I said, "It is possible. The people he
is.
recruited were upper middle class, one
Mhm.
rich, upper middle class, well educated, and he used how to win friends and influence people, among other things, and lured them into his weird world, and they used it to kill people." So I
Yep.
said, "Rucker, we dodged a bullet," because I was in Marin County, San Francisco during the Summer of Love. But fortunately, I was running a big company, so I didn't have time to go get
Didn't have
recruited.
time. There you go. Yeah, that was a great. I attended that years ago, and yeah, it's a great course. It's a great course. But well, Ben, again, as always, Gigi's probably got dinner ready. I know Dixie Chick's got dinner ready. I can smell it.
Gigi,
You
dinner ready?
know,
No,
well,
we have
well,
restaurants here. We have restaurants here in Placerville.
you do? Oh, we
Yeah,
have a couple here in Naples, but
yeah.
the Dixie thinks that when I go get takeout, because she doesn't go with me because she doesn't like to be seen in public with me. So, but, um, but she thinks that I might order a Cabernet or two while I'm waiting for takeout, which,
Yeah,
You'd be
I
right
have that
about that.
problem.
but yeah, so hey, thank you again as always. We'll get back on a little bit more of a regular schedule now. Wes takes care of himself and quit screwing up. We don't need any more of that. Um, Thank you so much, as always. Appreciate your wisdom and just the conversation as always. Even stories that we've heard, I love to hear them again because they never get old. That's one thing about your stories, Ben. They never get old. I could listen to them 1,000 times.
Well, I'm a Southerner. If you say, "How are you?" I do 10 minutes.
I understand. That works. That
I
works.
think I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Is that us?
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
I'll be
Handsome.
darned. Who's
Man.
that huge guy on the right?
Yeah. you know, do you remember? And then we will go. But do you remember, Ben, when you were meeting us there in Sacramento, and I went downstairs, and you called and said, "We're pulling up in the car,"
Yeah.
and I'll be right in. I said, "Well, I'm downstairs. I'll be sitting right at the end of the bar," and you go, "Well, where in the hell else would you be?" It's what I do. I like my cat. I like my Dr.
Special day.
Pepper.
Meeting you
Yeah.
guys officially, and Carson, Wes's daughter. There she
Oh, yeah.
is. All
There she is,
right.
and the lovely
There's-
Gigi. Look at that.
There's the lovely Gigi right there. That was a special evening, guys.
It was. Hey, there's a pretty good likelihood that we need to relive that when the Closer Seven's out. I would love to try to figure that out and bring you copy number 1
All right.
to you
I'll look
in
forward
person.
to it.
We'll figure that out when it gets closer. But Ben, any parting words, my friend? Otherwise, we'll let you get out of here. And Wes has probably got something to do. And I
No,
don't know
an
what I'm gonna
honor. I do want to apologize. When you sent me, I said, "Give me some options." You didn't put time zones in. So I picked 2 p.m. or whatever it was, Pacific, and I said /PT because I have to tell people, where I am, because I think I operate on about a 12-hour spread with a lot of calls and so on. And you said fine. And then you said, Wes said because it's you, he'll do it. And I thought, what does that mean? And then I scanned down to the very end. You meant Eastern time.
If
Oh,
you would have said 11 p.m., I would have said, "If it's been, I'll do it."
yeah.
Well, that's basically the quote I got. And I thought, well, that's wonderful. But I didn't intend to jerk you around like that. I just assumed you forgot to put in any time zone. So I put /PT. So I thought next time we'll work a little closer together.
Yeah. Yes. In other words, I just got scolded, and I should be a little more explicit with what I say.
That's sort of what I was trying to say.
I got that.
Okay.
I understand. I got it. I'm duly chastised now. I probably won't even be able to eat supper now. No, I'll eat supper.
You'll work your way through that.
I'll work my way through it. Ben, appreciate you, brother. Love you, man. Thank you. You're
My
the best.
pleasure to both of you.
Wes,
Bye, Ben.
All right.
Ben's gone.
Ben's gone. He's out of here. Well, hey, was that good stuff or what?
Every single time Ben's on, if I am hearing a new story, if I'm hearing a old story, or if we're, just talking about, whatever, it is just magic.
Yep, it is. It is. And I meant what I said. I don't care how many times I hear it. So, we've talked to Ben so many times, both in person and these sort of things that, I don't care if it's a story I've heard before because they're magical stories. So,
They are.
well, great work, buddy. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
I'm going to go see if I got some grub.
Well, I think that if nothing else, I need to hear the sign off.
Oh, we should probably do that, shouldn't we?
Yes, of
We're
course.
still here, aren't we? Are we still here live? I thought we was
Still
done.
here.
Wow, you see, I got all excited. Anyways, well, hey, the sign off for today is if ever you watch this show and you ever think about love what you do and do what you love, it is not real. That's exactly what Wes and I have been doing here today.
We are.
with Ben and what's beautiful about all our guests that we have, and that's one of the beauties of doing this thing is I feel like we bring a tad bit of value every single day, and if you can do that in life, life is good. So other than that, hey, why don't you go make today your best day ever? Till tomorrow.
That's right. We'll see you
All right.
later, guys.
See you, buddy. All right.